Good morning, dear guests and participants of the conference. I'm delighted to see such a big audience, and Helen told us that a few hundred professionals from different fields are listening us at a distance. I'm sure that second day of the conference will be just as interesting and inspiring as was the first one. This part of the conference aims to share good practices in providing community-based services for youth and the environment, aiming at positive changes in risky behavior, healing traumas, overcoming learning, school attendance difficulties, organizing after-school activities. So, I want to invite speakers of this session and invite you to come here. Miika Niemalla from Finland. Björn Berglund from Sweden. Hedengran Linnet from Denmark. And Eva-Lotta Höjman from Sweden. As cross-sectoral cooperation coordinator, I'm in daily contact with professionals working in providing services and support for young people to help them develop healthy personalities, resolve their psychological and social problems, overcome addictions, get them off the street, and reduce their criminal behavior. At a time when the world is facing many significant events, geopolitical situation is changing rapidly, technology is evolving rapidly, movement of information and goods between countries is open, and the conditions for children and young people to live, work, learn, and spend free time are changing. Societies are under a lot of stress, including young people. Child and family welfare professionals face new challenges in responding to situations and meeting the specific needs of families. We seek to promote initiatives in the local communities closest to young people. We often discuss with different service providers what approaches work effectively and for young people and how to attract, engage, and motivate them to access help. Often effective activities, programs, and support measures that appeal to young people are the result of one person's idea. And we visited one institution together with my speakers yesterday, Social Hack organization. Of course, a lot of efforts has to be put into gathering the necessary resources, securing support of local authorities, and using new and efficient ways of working. So, just a second. I'm sure that speakers of this session will add to your knowledge new ideas, new practical implementation details, and good practices. So, I would like to invite first speaker, Miika Niemalla from Finland. Miika is managing director of Icehearts. He is also solution-focused therapist, and in 2017 he was chosen as Father of the Year in Finland. Miika, turn is yours.
Thank you, Sigita, for your kind words, and it's a great honor to stand here. And first I want to thank also Vida, are you here somewhere? To such a good taking care of us all this journey. It's been nothing but pleasure. Thank you. Water break. Okay, so my name is Miika Niemalla. I come from Finland. I live in the capital area, and our organization headquarters is in Vantaa, very close to Helsinki, if you have ever visited there. I have worked Icehearts in 2001, so I hope that I know what I'm speaking there now, because I have so long career with Icehearts. In this presentation, we talked that I'm going to talk a little background, and Icehearts social mentoring model, but I like to focus on the practices of the Icehearts work and what our mentors do. So, Icehearts Finland is a preventive child protection organization, and it was founded in 1996. And our aim is to prevent children's social exclusion, provide social support, increase well-being, and supplement public services. At the beginning, the organization was founded as a social sports club for children in a vulnerable position and also the social problem. But very quickly we noticed that we need to kind of expand this work, also include children, families, school and social welfare services, kind of comprehensive way. And that's how we want to work even today. So our work is long-term and comprehensive support of children in need of social support. Became the basis of the Icehearts model. One mentor, 12 years, group of 15 to 25 children from same area, holistic support in all areas of life, like school, leisure time, hobbies, activities, family and services. That kind of support made it possible for children suffering from social problems to function in their own environment, attend school, participate in hobbies, and live at home. We have made several national and international recognition also, and the latest one is that European Commission granted 5 million euros for spreading the model in EU last year. Actually, I like to say that not the spreading the model, because the time is so limited, but spreading the good practices. And that's wonderful, because children are quite same in all over Europe and all over the world also. When I started 2001, we had 2 employees, me and founder, Ville Turkka. We don't have any money, but we have a passion. That same passion I saw yesterday in Chilin Street presentation in, like we say in Finnish, eki. Maybe it's egis or something, but it's the same passion when we start to build this organization. We have a kind of wild dream that maybe someday we have more employees, but that's not the point, to get the more employees. Our point was to get the most support, so many children that we ever can reach. And I didn't believe that, because it was quite difficult at the beginning. Some people said that you can do like this, you can't be everywhere. You have to focus something. And we try to say that, yes, we focus the child and the family, but there's a life around the families and child. We have to also focus that. And well, now we have 69 groups in 13 cities in Finland. The number of the children involved has risen over 1,000 now. And we have to remember, I tell it later more, but our mentors, they mainly work at school environment. So there's our group, but they still reflect so many children in that area, because they know almost every children on that age group what they are working for. So kind of dream has come true, but it's not enough. So something really warmed my heart yesterday, even if it's very cold there, but still, because there's some similarities. Keep on good work there. The Icehearts model is implemented in cooperation with municipalities. The municipalities recognize the need of social support for children in a certain area and funds the establishments of the Icehearts group. Then we, as Icehearts of Finland, recruit the mentor who commits to work for up to 12 years. So it's a very big commitment. And when I'm recruiting people, I never said you have to make that commitment or that promise to me or to organization. You made that commitment and the promise to the children and the families. That is the very important point of view. How it starts, the mentor goes around preschools in the area, the chosen area, which municipalities' authorities has shown us, and chooses the children for the group together with the municipality experts also. Who are those experts? Social workers, preschool teachers, and so on. And the group start its activities in the same fall when the children go to school. And the size of the group increases during the first few years. And in the fourth year, approximately, the operation, there are 50 to 25 children. We have groups for girls and for boys, both gender. So what kind of work it is, I'm going to show you a picture, which is very good, and tell you a little bit more, but some words about that. The mentors support the children in school lessons. We are not replacing teacher. We go to the school to say, how can I help you? And it's a really rare when teachers say, I don't need any help. And we are not under the school's budget, so we are totally extra workers there. We are very welcome in Finnish schools. That's a great thing. And when those children finish their school day, we organize afternoon activities in the same school, in the same area. It's a very safe environment to the children also. We help the homework. We organize the hobbies for the children. As I said to you earlier, we start with as kind of a sport organization. We still have that sport as a tool to create a safe community which is easy to attach, because every human being wants to belong something. And we are creating that kind of communities there. The educator, like me, when I started, I was an educational partner for the parents and promotes child's affairs in the services also. And our aim of the Icehearts works is to comprehensively support the growth and development of Icehearts children, so that the children of the target group grow into full-fledged members of society, capable and competent individuals. The kind of adults that the Icehearts children and young people themselves want to become and grow up to be. I think it's quite well said. Some words about the importance of knowledge and research. At the very beginning, we realized that we need some kind of evidence. We need that we can explain why we are needed. We need to evidence when we make the funding applications. And it took some time, but now it's in a good way. We have a couple of follow-ups, but Marjatta will tell a little bit more in the afternoon, so I go to the practice pretty soon. We have more than 50 bachelor and master theses have been written on the Icehearts model, and 2 dissertations of the subject are in progress just now. There is kind of secret to that success, because we have been always very open approach to research, and the readiness to develop activities based on research information also. So we need that. And according to research also, comprehensiveness, long-term duration, the permanence of the same mentor, and sufficiently frequent meetings between the mentor and the child create a solid framework for social support. Okay, what kind of elements we have? First, at schoolwork. If you ask where you can find the ISAS mentor, I answer, go to the school. We want to be there where the children are. And in Finland and in many countries, we are very lucky because almost every children go to school every morning. So it's easy to find. We are present in the schoolwork. We help the teachers. We go to the classrooms to help the teachers and help the children also. If needed, we don't want to be there. We don't need to be there. And we really do deep co-working with teachers. Then there's that afternoon activities, approx 3 first years when the children are small, I mean young. We have that afternoon activities in the school facilities. We don't have any own facilities. We use the general facilities. And it's the same environment, and it's also a safe place to spend time. The children knows where he or she should be on that day, because there's a mentor waving to, here I am, let's go. Then it's hobby, all kind of sport, art, outdoor activities. We try to kind of create an active lifestyle to children, also in physical education. And there's that individual support. We have quite many children who are kind of hard to attach to team, to group, so they need an individual approach. And we can offer also that. Then that family work. Yesterday we thought that, we heard that we can't only focus to the children. We have to look the families because the children live in the family. The children, they live in their homes. We have to also support the family work. And this is our main focus now when we support our mentors. To reach the families, to make the relationship with the families also. Kind of educational partnership. And then networking. We actually cooperate with all stakeholders that help the children. We are not authorities. For us, it's quite easy to go, for example, to social services. We also heard yesterday that those services doesn't have a very good conversation with each other sometimes. So we are kind of bridge maker there also. And to be honest, networking makes our work much more easier. We don't have to do everything for ourselves. This is the picture. There it is, actually. So it's a long path. It's a great commitment. And we are really lucky because we are almost running 30 years this organization now. Only 3 mentors have changed. How is it possible? I think that this is the work that really matters. Our mentors, they are really individual. They have almost full autonomy to make their schedules, to make their working hours, to plan their tasks. It's a silly thing to think about that I am going to call, for example, in Joensuu, it's a city of Eastern Finland, from Vantaa to say that tomorrow, Helen, you need to do that and that. I don't know anything about. But the mentor knows. He has a full mandate to plan his working hours and working days also. Also, he or she, as a mentor, can plan their holidays and that kind of things. So if you wonder, is it possible to make that kind of comprehensive work? I answer, yes, it is. You have to focus the right things, but you have to also take care of yourself. We have a support team for the mentors. We have 5 persons there. They are kind of aerial supervisor, and their only thing is taking care of our mentors. And 4 of them are actually former mentors in their own team that they really know what is the work in daily basis. So, and then we have also one supporting mentor for family work, because we really need to enhance that element of our work. This is quite cheap. It's a 60,000 euro per year. And if you talk about in Finland, if you take a child in custody, it's a little bit over, approximately a bit over 1,100 euros. So we are quite cheap operator. And I need to say at the end that one story. It was the very first days when new team starting his path, and there was some bad behaving, one of 7-year-old boy, and the mentor said, hey, stop, now we have to talk. And then mentor asked, do you know what happens next? And that the 7-year-old boy answered, yes, I know, you are putting me away. I need to quit this. And this is very sad narrative when 7-year-old boy has an experience that he's putting away. The mentor said, no, I'm not going to put in away, I'm going to very close to you now. Because I'm afraid that you hurt yourself or somebody else. I need to be very close to you. This is some kind of ethos of Icehearts. And dear audience, you have maybe seen the very sad news also from Finland about the school shooting and everything. But I need to say that the punishment isn't the solution. I really like that time he said yesterday that no child should be in prison. We need care, we need empathy, we need love. We always said that somebody needs to do something. Is it right? The somebody is us, you and me. We can make that change. We need more caring. Then another explanation is that we need more people to school. We need more adults to school. It's true, but every adult has to be a role there. It doesn't matter if there's 100 adults, if nobody doesn't know what I'm going to do here. But I believe, there's no slides, that's okay. And remember, finally, the love wins. Thank you so much.
5 seconds.
I made my time.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Miika, for this inspiring presentations. I want to continue our presentations. I hope we will have a few minutes for questions afterwards. So I want to invite Björn Berglund from Sweden. He is a manager at Fryshuset. He plays a pivotal role in the organization's mission to assist individuals seeking to break free from extremist movements. His role involves creating pathways for disengagement and rehabilitation, emphasizing the human aspects of radicalization. Björn, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. I woke up with a sore throat this morning, so if my voice breaks up, you all have to excuse me. But as you heard, my work is usually based on violent extremism, but I'm not going to talk about this today. I'm going to speak about the youth center Fryshuset that we are a big part of. As you might all have heard, we have big problems in Sweden with criminal organizations and violence. And I have, in various forms, been the center of it for the last 5 years. And I hope today to share some of the basic work that we have used to counter the situation. Criminal gangs and violent extreme groups recruit from civil society, and I must say they are the best in the world at doing so. They know exactly how to do it, which children to target, and in what way. And they're available 24/7. The last numbers I read said that 2 to 3 children joins criminal organizations every day in Sweden. And to this development, there's not many alternative solutions. Our job at Fryshuset is to create resilience among the target audience and civil society, and our contribution to doing so is to emphasize and enable the ability for young people to grow through their positive passions. So, Fryshuset started in the fall of 1984, and the focus in the beginning was on sports and music. And with the violence going on today, you might perceive the 80s and 90s as a peaceful time in our history, but I assure you, those times had great challenges connected to violence, criminality, and extremism as well. The big difference is that you didn't have a smartphone that told you all the darkness going on in the world in real time. Fryshuset is a non-profit foundation and organization that is religiously and politically independent. We listen to, work with, and build relationships with young people, and together with them create meeting places where young people are seen, heard, and mattered. At Fryshuset, young people have opportunities to exercise their passions, create and participate in youth-driven activities, training, and work. We exist for all young people, but we have a special focus on the youth who are at risk of ending up in exclusion and who are not reached by other actors. We work to provide young people with conditions, opportunities, environments where they can grow and develop based on their needs and passions. Needs are not negotiable, but the way we meet them are, and the criminal gangs know exactly how to fill these needs that the youth had in their way. We work to ensure that society takes young people's opinion and ideas seriously because we are convinced that it contributes to a creative and solution-oriented social climate and decrease young people's feeling of alienation. Our work is based on the belief in people. We always work for something, not against, with a strong conviction that all people, with the support of positive context and fellow human beings, can get up and move forward. These values are deeply rooted in our organizations. We are where young people are, and we always see their situation as they perceive it. We dare to do and talk about what's important, and we are curious and try to understand their perspective. We create positive opportunities for young people, which they repeatedly tell us are lacking in their life. As you see on these figures, we meet students over 140,000 hours per month through our schools, and we have over 11,000 unique young people that we meet in our activities every month as well. In our work to create a hopeful future for young people, we need to be relevant, and we need to be where young people are. We need to know which areas and questions are the most relevant to focus on. One way we do this is through what we call the future search method, which around 100 people are invited to a dialogue where together we formulate the most relevant questions to act on over the coming 10-year period. In order to get as many different perspectives and experiences as possible into the discussion, young people, entrepreneurs, government officials, politicians, investors, civil society, practitioners, entrepreneurs, decision makers, etc., from the whole society and the whole country are invited to the meeting. Based on the basis created from these meetings, we have drawn our long-term goals for the coming 10 years. This is one of the ways we get insight to the world that young people perceive. And as you see, this is our model for participation. It starts from the target group line, where you can play different groups in the local community in relation to the level of their participation into society. On the far left are those who stand far from society with low faith in future and strong distrust in their surroundings. And on the right are those who experience no particular threshold to make their voices heard or to make the life choices they want to make. A young person who is in or at risk to meet safe adults where a positive relationship can be trusted can be created. When trust and relationship have been created and the young person feels safe, from there you can challenge and widen the contact area in connection with other young people as well. When positive relationships are built with other young people and connections are created, the feeling of participation is often strengthened and the feeling of powerlessness decrease. Here you can take the next step to awareness and possibly enabling desire to maybe influence society, or at least your own life. So this is always the big question: where do you put your resources? And hopefully all of you have seen this pyramid before, when you maybe have the reactive efforts in the top, which is done against individuals who are already in, who are about to enter destructive environments. The aim here is to prevent a continued or accelerating lifestyle. We also have the preventive actions with target groups in the risk zone. It can be it could be a defined age group or a geographic area where criminal organizations start to move in. The third is the promotional initiatives who are aimed at a broader group. These efforts are made long before there are any problem picture. The aim is to build resilience and well-being in many parts of the people. This could, for example, be sports activities or inclusive meeting places such as leisure farms. In reality, the efforts are not always this clear divided. On the contrary, there often overlap between the different steps. The model provides a good overview of possible interventions and when they can be implemented. Most agree that working to focus resources on the first two, promotion and prevention, and that it's guaranteed to be more cost-effective, if you think about costs, than the efforts on top, where you target a few who already are active. To reach young people, we start with the young people's ideas and commitment and let Fryshuset be driven and shaped by young people's needs and passions. Our work and methods are based on involving the target group in the entire process, from coming up with ideas to realizing them. In our work, we always start from the local condition and needs versus the long experience with many proven methods. All activities within Fryshuset base their work on two sociological concepts, salutogenis and kasam. In practice, this means that Fryshuset works to strengthen and encourage the healthy and strong in each individual, instead of focusing on the risk factors and problems. Both concepts are completely in line with the core values at Fryshuset. You can say that the salutogenic approach and the Kasam unite everything that Fryshuset does and stands for. Fryshuset and NGOs often reaches young people who government institution has a difficulty reaching. The problem might be you are an authority, something that young people we reach have both fear and bad faith in. We often become a bridge to both authorities. In our work, we lower thresholds to both leisure activities, schools, and the labor market. The best is always when we collaborate together with different actors who are dependent on each other in several ways. Our differences also mean that work we can achieve and carry out activities that we cannot do individually. It also contributes to create contacts and opportunities for young people and show them that in a democracy, your voice can be heard. Businesses and authorities such as municipalities, but also foundation funds and philanthropists are often enablers for us to be able to reach more young people. So this is the big question: how do we know we succeed? And we use this result staircase. And for an example, we have an activity at Fryshuset called Electra. They work for a society free from oppression, violence, and other violations, and support young people who live in an honorable context. They work preventively to influence attitudes by educating and spreading knowledge. This is an example how they work with a ladder in a specific mission. So they conducted lectures at school and training that lasted for 1.5 years. We reach people for the lectures at the schools through other activities at Fryshuset and through our meetings. During the implementation, Electra reached over 5,000 young people and met them for over 25,000 hours. And we also selected 19 people who attended the training of Electra. A survey that we conducted where 100% of respondents felt that there had been a big or fairly big change in their knowledge base. 80% of the respondents considered themselves to have made a big change based on the knowledge they received from the Electra training, and 92% of respondents considered that they had changed their life situation thanks to the education they received. So as always, measuring is a big important step. I'm going to end a little bit early because I know we went over time yesterday, but I would say this, if I could leave with you with something: every positive activity that you can offer a young person out there is a prevention against joining criminal organization and violent extreme groups. As I said in the beginning of my speech here today, they're open for recruitment 24/7, and if we only work office hours, we already lost the battle. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Björn. I had a chance to visit Fryshuset in Stockholm and was really impressed. So let's go on. Please keep your questions till the end of this session. So I want to invite Marie Hedengran Linnet from Denmark. Marie works as assistant manager at Idrætsprojektet, Community Center for Children and Young People and Center for Vulnerable and Crime-Exposed Young People. She has master's degree in anthropology and specialized in education for children with special needs.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Marie. I work as a head of divisions at Idrætsprojektet. Idrætsprojektet is an organization within the Municipality of Copenhagen. Just skip to this. The Municipality of Copenhagen is divided into 7 different departments. The department we're in is called Social Care Department, and this diagram gives you a quick overview of how we're organized. It's a bit complex. We are the social care department. Is responsible for vulnerable children, young people, and adults with disabilities. It has interventions and services for children, young people, and families with social problems, children and adults with psychiatric diagnosis, citizens with learning disabilities, including those with multiple disabilities, children and young adults with physical impairment, and citizens who are drug and alcohol dependent. We are located at the Center for Vulnerable and Crime-Exposed Children in the Civil Center for Children and Young People. It's a bit complex. The target group of this center we are a part of is children and young people. The children's social care receive and allocate referrals from citizens and professionals whom are worried about the safety of a child. A family can self-refer themselves. The children's social care have a variety of services for its target group, including day treatment and residential placements. The children's social care also has many activities such as street outreach programs, working with schools, institutions, and crime prevention. This figure illustrates the different services that our center provides and how the system is set up. We're at the bottom step of the staircase because we provide a preventive service, meaning we work with the children to prevent their problems before they develop or when they're in the very early stages. The further we go up the stairs, the more urgent is the need for an intervention to help the child. Idrætsprojektet is an interdisciplinary and self-governing organization which covers the whole city of Copenhagen. We are around 100 employees, and we only have full-time employees, and they're all educated to a bachelor or higher degree level. Our coaches are pedagogues, teachers, social workers, master's degree, qualified within sports science, psychology, etc. We also have a team of tradeswomen, with 2 carpenters and 2 bicycle mechanics who maintain the coaches' bikes, because all of our coaches ride their bikes around Copenhagen to do these sort of interventions. Our goal is to build and sustain children and young people's positive social networks at school, at home, and in workplaces. We have 5 different types of interventions, and they are all based on the law of the child or the law of the youth crime enforcement. We have the recreative interventions, which is focused on all after-school activities, sports, youth clubs, part-time jobs, and our job is to support the positive social network outside of the school and home. We have some combined interventions, which can also be focused on the recreative, but oftentimes they're a focus on getting back to school or staying in school, and sometimes even getting ready in the morning and making good routines to get out of bed. Then we have an intervention for the schools, and this is a shared intervention between the school and the social care department. And it's mostly focused on getting children back to school or making them stay in school if they're if they're going away from the school. Then we have 9I, which is a targeted intervention to help young people get their final exam at school and help them complete the lowest level of required education in Denmark. And then finally, we have something called UKN in Danish, when children and young people who have been referred to an improvement package or process by the Youth Justice Board, they will often receive a recreative or combined intervention, and it's not voluntary for the young children or people. We also have interventions that target groups instead of single individuals. We have the HEAL intervention, which is a project where we're building positive communities with the people that live in the areas that were formerly categorized as ghettos. Here, our coaches can utilize their personal and professional network and competencies when they deliver activities and interventions. We have created basketball teams, music group, art groups, and more. Then we have Family to Family, which is a project that aims to building networks between families that are exposed and isolated or have children with similar challenges. We host family days, set up matches and network. We host fatherhood groups, and the families are there voluntarily. Our last intervention for groups is a good start to school. This is a very preventive intervention where we follow a whole class of children from they have just started public school. We facilitate activities that support cooperation, emotion control, co-teaching, and anti-bullying in schools in some of the most exposed areas of Copenhagen. If a group of students wants to start football together, we also facilitate that and aid their parents in the process. We operate across different contexts in children and young people's life, including statutory services and sector stakeholders. We are there where they need us. If they need us at the schools, we'll be there. If they need us at the doctors or at a psychiatric evaluation, we'll be there. If they need us at the football club, we will be there. We try to work across all the stakeholders and all the different kind of sectors we live in. We support children from the ages from 4 to 17, sometimes up to 23. Our main target group are children who are excluded from or exiting positive social interactions within their family, their school, or their leisure activities. They're children living within vulnerable family contexts in which they may be subject to neglect, mental health problems, domestic violence, or drug abuse. Or children and young people who are exhibiting internalized or externalized behavior, are vulnerable to crime, exploitation, or are experiencing mental health problems. They may have attachment issues, being diagnosed with anxiety, autism, ADHD, or may self-harm. Our work is based on 4 values, which has evolved through the direct work with children and young people. In all of our interventions, the activities are the means to meet the goal. The first value of our method is flexibility. We work from 6 in the morning to 10 in the evening. It can be in your room, on your school, on the street, and we will come to you. We are the grown-ups and the professionals, so we have the responsibility to adjust our schedule to the children and make it so it fits with their lives and their challenges. We believe in working towards what the motivation or the dream is for the child. And in the beginning, we often get, why are you just playing soccer? You're supposed to get him back to school. But playing ball outside can sometimes be a very big step, and it can be a way of building confidence and important social skills that can get the feeling of success and get the kids back to school. This is very important to us because we always look at the resources. And it's the positive that we focus on, whether it's been 5 minutes or an hour. For some parents, it has been years since they've heard positive things about their children. And also the child experiences to have an ally and who will greet them with a smile every time they meet, despite what happened the last time they were together. We are patient and we're persistent. We had a young person in our organization who literally set fire to one of the coach's jacket. The coach took off his jacket, stomped on it, and turned out the fire and said, "What's to do next?" It can feel really challenging cycling around Copenhagen, meeting children who have canceled 10 times in a row, won't answer, knock on the door. But we keep on trying. We also have an example of a coach who wrapped a pancake in tin foil and put it through the mailbox with a note that said, "I hope we can make pancakes together the next time I'll see you." We use chalk to draw pictures on the sidewalk if the kids won't let us in, and we might go back an hour later and say, "I'm still standing here." We always work on the principles that our work is tailored work in the community. We don't have a headquarter. We don't have any buildings where the kids need to go. We go where they go. We are proactively connecting with the children and young people in their own environment. We're solution focused, and the common third is a means to meet the goal. So the kids don't have to be with a grown-up just because it's a grown-up. They are together because they have a common interest in maybe football or strength training, music. We have a low arousal approach. And we use positively charged vocabularies all the time. For instance, our employees are called coaches. We always do outreach work, and we never cancel. We always work with the goal to make ourselves redundant. This means that we try to engage and include the network and support the family in taking over. This way we can climb down the stairs of intervention and let the children and young people's surroundings take over at some point. We are only there for a limited amount of time. As I said earlier, we offer an intervention which is a result of a young person being referred to an improvement process by the Youth Crime Board. This is not voluntary, and it's the least preventative intervention we have. The board sentences this young person to an improvement process with us due to some sort of criminal activity. This is an example of a young person that got an improvement process at Idrætsprojektet after having been on a criminal track and ended up at the Youth Crime Board. He had been kicked out of 6 schools and was on his way to the 7th. And we made an effort where we combined schoolwork with strength training, which was his primary motivation at the time. He ended up enjoying this way of learning very much and started to dream about getting an education and a job. This made him even more motivated to do well in school, and he'd actually completed his final exams, are on his way to the track that gets him to uni. He said himself, "I had been kicked out of 6 schools and was not in education. It has helped returning to school. There was too much trouble with the police and too many problems in general, but this is the group of friends I grew up with. You can't just turn your back and walk away. At this point, I have not been arrested for a couple of years. The reason is that I returned to school. And I don't want any more entries on my criminal report. All I want is future. I want to work with computer science. I'm trying to build friendships with others at school and spend a little more time with them." Our school interventions are very important to us because school is one of the biggest preventing factors in a child's life. So we have a big focus on that. I would just read the quotes we have here. "The coaches talk to me like a human being." Oh, sorry, these are the creative interventions. Just going back. A young person with low attendance at the school. "The coolest thing about it is that someone is counting on me and expects something from me. When I know that a coach is waiting for me at school, that creates some motivation in me, both to show up, but also to do something when I'm there. We also did activities and hung out a lot. I think that helped me get back to school." We offer the recreative interventions, and we're aiming to create a pathway to an active lifestyle in the young people's free time or after-school job, finding out what motivates them and what their resources and interests may be. The focus on the recreative interventions is to prevent criminal pathway of the children falling out of positive connections. This is the young person who said, "The coaches talk to me like I'm a human being. I can't be bothered being spoken to in a really touchy-feely pedagogical way. I've experienced that so many times. An important thing I learned is to be more honest with myself and towards others. I've often discussed with the coaches how I'm feeling and how they're feeling too. I have learned to describe openly what is going on with me on the inside and listen to others as well. And I've learned that it's okay to disagree about stuff. We can still be friends. The coach who had this intervention said, "Our young people have had so many knocks in life and have developed a sense of mistrust to the system. Our agenda is to rebuild it. We keep showing them that we genuinely want to build a relationship with them, even when they have had a difficult session where something did not go well. We always draw the focus towards the positive elements, and this is new to some of the parents, the children getting praise." I'll just get to this. And then I would like to talk a little bit about data, because how do we know we succeed? The reason we collect data is to identify the strengths and weaknesses we have in our organization. We include the data aspect in our strategic choices, for instance, how to forecast the future trends on the market, and to make quality assurance of the work that we do every day. We constantly develop and improve our method and organization. This first figure shows the age of the children and young people that have had interventions with us. This clearly shows that we work mainly with the children from 8 to 15, but we have a very broad target group. There are 669 children in total that we've worked with since 2020. These are the types of interventions that have been started with us. You can see that the most popular one is the recreative interventions. Some of you might notice that there are 774 interventions since 2020, and that's more than we have had children. And this is because we regularly evaluate the situation of the child and the young person to assess the needs of the individual in order to give them the right intervention. This is done through meetings and through a written status. The written status summarizes the progress of the intervention regarding the goals of the particular intervention. These statuses are also done when we have an intervention that comes to an end. Every intervention has 2 or 3 intervention goals, which is formulating the aim of the intervention. When the intervention ends, the coach or the coaches are interviewed to evaluate whether the child has achieved the goals of the intervention or not. And then this interview is transcribed, and it's read by a third party who then evaluates whether the goals have been achieved or not. This gives us an opportunity to find out where we're strong and where we can improve ourselves. This is the result of the evaluation we did on these interventions. As the figure shows, we achieved 63% of our interventions. We partly achieved 19%, and we didn't achieve 18%. These are some examples of intervention goals. They vary a lot from intervention to intervention, and they are tailored after the need of the child. But these are examples that maybe our intervention is to support the person in getting an active after-school time, help them develop social skills, or make them thrive in school. This is how well we've succeeded with these 3 specific interventions. As you can see, we are very good at helping children get better social skills. We're also pretty good at helping them get after-school activities and support them thrive in school. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Marie. A lot of information, a lot of. Thank you very much. And the next speaker is Eva-Lotta Höjman from Sweden, Deputy Manager at the Hässleholm Youth Center. Eva-Lotta has a master's degree in psychology and psychotherapy. For about 20 years, she worked as a clinical psychologist and as a head of TFCO program and Secure Home for Youth.
Thank you. Well, I work at this residential home for secure care that you can see here in southern Sweden. And even though this is a magnificent facility and we have very good possibilities to work with interventions, some of you have been there and seen the facilities, I'm here to talk about another form of treatment. And that is the treatment foster care Oregon. And in the TFCO program, the youth who are placed there has to be in need of an out-of-home placement, but is offered an alternative to residential or institutional care in group homes. And based on the enormous risks of poor outcomes when you place young people in group homes, and also based on the economic cost for society to place kids in institutions, it's of course always better to try to have the young person stay in their home environment and give the interventions to the whole family in that context if it is evaluated to be safe for the kid. But if an out-of-home placement is needed, TFCO is a very good alternative to institutional care. So, as you all know, the risks of residential care are facts. Lots and lots of follow-ups and research show this. By using standardized risk assessment tools, like you heard about yesterday, who evaluate the risk, need, and responsivity using that model, you can distinguish what level of care should be offered to get the best outcome for an antisocial kid. So the first step to get this intervention is that there need to be, the kid needs an out-of-home intervention. And then the second step to make sure this program would work is to make sure there is a home for the young person to return to. It could be the biological parents, but it could also be a foster home where the kid could grow up, a permanent placement to stay in. The third step is to have the kid and its family to accept the intervention, to be placed in TFCO, even though it's directed to kids who demand compulsory care. With that act law in Sweden, you have to agree on being placed in this form. You have to agree on following the limits of the program and accept the interventions that are given. Otherwise, it is too unsafe for the kid to be in the program. And if you don't accept that, the social worker from the social welfare will have to find another alternative for placement, which usually would be institutional care at a locked facility. So the reason why it's such a bad idea to place kids in institutions, you all know, it has to do with not learning the skills that they need to learn. It's about the age of adolescence when the peers are so important. And they get contaminated with antisocial behavior when you have them together, unless you worked very structured to diminish that risk. But even if you do that in the institution, they don't get the opportunity to be with other kids and learn new skills. So that's why we try to find other alternatives. So what you do in TFCO, I forgot to do this. I'm sorry. Let's see. Oh, I'm still here. So what you do, you place the single youth in a professional foster care home. It's a normal family that you train a couple of days, and then you have a very close follow-up and guidance from a clinical team on how to cope with the child. You have a multi-systemic team around the kid and the family, psychologists, social workers, skill coaches, and family therapists. And from the first day of the placement, you work very closely with the biological family in order to make them partners with the treatment team to make the changes that are necessary to have the child go back to their home. The treatment is usually 6 to 12 months. So the context where we are giving this program in Sweden is within the National Board of Institutional Care, and you met some of my colleagues yesterday. And the care that is given is under the Care of Young Persons Act, and it is usually compulsory treatment. The kids who enter to TFCO, you have to make sure that it is safe. As you know, right now in Sweden, with the very heavy gang affiliations and the very serious deadly violence that we have, not everyone could be placed at a foster home right now. You have to make sure that it's safe for the child and for the foster home. But the kids that this program is developed for are kids who act defiant towards adults, get into violent fights, do drugs or sell drugs at a smaller level, not very heavily engaged. They run away from their parents, they don't go to school, steal things, and so on. So it is directed, or it's for kids between 12 and 17 years old. And my colleague from SBU yesterday showed you that this is one of the programs who are evidence-based for this group. The way you enter to this program is through social services, and it is also paid for by the municipalities. And it is a very high intense program, and it's costly, of course, but still it is much cheaper than institutional care. I would say that about half the price that it costs to have a child in our institutions. Yeah, and this cost effectiveness in Sweden is probably due to that our institutional care has a very high level and is very, we have a lot of staff and very good facilities. But even in the US, it has shown that TFCO program is cost effective at long term because it reduces the need for interventions later on in life. So there is a lot of research behind this program. It was developed by Patricia Chamberlain and John Breed in the 80s at the Oregon Social Learning Center in the US. You have the links there, and there is a lot of research that you can find. It's based on 2 decades of longitudinal studies on what do you need to focus on if you want to change the outcome for a young person with antisocial behavior. That's how they created and put together the program. Important theories behind the program is coercion theory, developed by Patterson, also a researcher at the Oregon Social Learning Center, who developed a lot of the PMT training, parent management training programs. And also on social learning theory, cognitive behavior therapy, and systems theory, the importance of using or working with all the different aspects of a young person's life, and including the family. You can also enter the Blueprint program organization. It's from the University of Colorado, and then there they have listed the programs and the interventions that have a strong research base, and that has been successful, moving from one country or one place to another, and still been shown to be effective. And this is one of these programs. Oh, it's because I had two, so I forget to switch here. All right, so I'm going to try to explain a little bit how this program works. In the center of everything, of course, you have the youth. And like I said, this is an evidence-based program, so you use a manual on how to conduct what you're supposed to do. Around the person here, you can see that you have a lot of professional actors or adults around the kid. And this is to build a tight net of interventions and support around the young person, so you don't need the walls to lock them in. So the case manager, that you see there as one of the planets, is a very central person in the program. The case manager has the close contact with the social services, because, as I said, it is the social services who place the kid in the program. The case manager also are in charge of the rules and the limits that the kid has to abide by while in the program. Of course, that is based on what the clinical team and the assessment says, but it is the case manager who do that. It's also the case manager who has the very important connection with the school, because as you have heard, without good education and good schooling, these kids are totally lost. So the kids live in foster home in normal communities, normal families who get trained, like I said, and they attend schools in the neighborhoods where these foster families live. So the team around the kid will support the school with knowledge about the level of demands and the support the kid needs, and also help to support the school and the rules that they need to abide by when they're in school. But otherwise than that, we want the connection with normally functioning kids to learn the skills from normal peers and make new friends, and not special schools and special groups with only other antisocial children. And then you have the clinical team. You have the youth therapist, normally psychologists, who work with the kid in individual sessions, problem solving, trying to find out what you want to do with your life, help you get your voice heard in good ways. And you have the skills trainer. The skills trainer is like a professional contact person who helps the kid in the areas outside the home and the school. Because, as I said, these kids usually have a lack of skills on how to interact on arenas that are not antisocial. They usually have a long history of only hanging out with kids who break norms and do defiant things against adults. So to get into the sport clubs and be able to take part in activities, they need a skills coach to go with them, and to support them. And I mean, the difficulties our kids face when they have to go back to their natural environment is really real. A couple of years ago, one of the skill coaches and a kid was going to practice generalization of his new behaviors in his hometown, Malmö. And this kid had done really well in the program. He was very far ahead. And when they came to Malmö, some social media or rumors or whatever had made a group of kids who were in conflict with him since a very long time ago find out that he was going to be in his old neighborhood. So they met up, a group of kids, and right away, within just minutes, there was a conflict, and the skill coach and our kid had to run for the next bus, get on the bus, and get out of the neighborhood. I mean, these kids are used to facing violence and peer pressure with violence and peer pressure, and if you're going to teach them new ways to handle conflicts, they need a lot of support and help on how to do that. And all these organizations that you've been talking about are important ways for these kids to get saved. Of course, today in Sweden, if that would have happened, those kids could have had guns. So right now in Sweden, it is a very difficult situation to work with this program. You have to do very specific evaluations to be able to go through with this program. Yeah, the family therapist, natural family therapist, and the biological family is very important. You work each week in sessions with the biological family, do a lot of parent management training, how to support your child and how to kind of reel your child into your safety again, because these kids have moved away from their family context. And the parents need support to kind of reel them in. You also teach the parents to have very close supervision to their teenagers, because what you need to do is to supervise, to make sure that the kid don't affiliate with the wrong kind of crowd, and that they get a lot of support in doing mature behaviors. Even after they end the program and come back to their natural environment. Sorry, I'm just going to open this. Yeah, so what you do in this program, you work with the daily structure and support using a point and level system, so that foster home go through a point chart of behaviors that the kid needs to practice on each day, from getting up in the morning to get ready for school, to make mature decisions, and you specify things that are exact for this child to practice on. And then you reinforce that every end of the day, and the tokens they get for doing this is, of course, praise and recognition, but also spending money and privileges. And it's also a way for the child to move ahead up in the program. So the more you practice on the behavior specified, the faster you will move on, and the closer you will get to move home, to biological home. You also have a daily parent report, PDR. Someone calls the foster home each day from the clinical team to find out the stress level, if there are any behaviors that the family needs acute help with in order to make sure the placement isn't a failure. And you meet the foster parents in group guidance meetings, so they have support from one another, where you go through with the clinical team the upcoming week of what the child has to practice on and the challenges that you have. and weekly team meetings with the clinical team, planning the treatment. And there is 24/7 on-call for the family, the kid, and the foster parents from the clinical team to help them to sort out problems. The program is in 3 steps. One first step, which is very restricted, almost like institutional care, always with adults. The second step, you start training trips to your biological home, more freedom, you start hanging out with friends under very controlled forms. And the third step, that is the generalization. You're in your biological home each weekend, and you get more and more freedom and moving very close to the life you're going to have after the program. And finally, an aftercare support from the clinical team when the kids move back to their biological parents. So, that's GFCO. Thank you.
Thank you, Evalota, very much. It was very interesting. We don't have such a program in Lithuania. So, dear participants, we have still 5 minutes, at least for one question. Please take a chance. We have the best speakers of this session, professionals. Do we make a competition? Who is the first?
Thank you. I'm Fabio Belafatti from Save the Children, Lithuania. I have a question. I've noticed that a lot of these programs seems to center a lot on mentoring on an individual basis, and I wanted to ask to Miika in particular, in practice, how does the vetting process work? How do you select those who want to become mentors? How do you, really, how are they vetted? How are they monitored in their work or assisted in their work?
Yeah, it's working. So if you ask in how we select our employees, do I understand right? Yeah, it's a totally open application, and then we have just a normal interviews and everything. So we try to emphasize that long career, and it's actually very hard to emphasize. It's very hard to explain, even for me, who has worked so many years in Icehearts, because you can't realize what kind of work this is before you have done it. So then we really focused on supporting those new mentors in the first step. We are really close to them because the attitude of the new mentors, like me also, was that I want to do everything right away. We just need to say that, slow down, you have plenty of time. So it would be catastrophic during the first year. Our new mentors are kind of burn out. So we need to say also to our mentors, like we said to the children and families, that we have plenty of time. Nothing changes quickly.
Thank you. Do you have comments too, Björn?
Yeah, I think you're bringing up a good point. I can just from my experience speak about recruiting people to work with violent extremism, and that's a really hard thing to do. It's been a lot of talk about hiring formers, but from my experience, maybe 1 out of 100 formers are suitable to be working in the environment again. So it's always a challenge in every business. It's hard to find the right people to work with them. So it's maybe you can talk to me after this session, because I think I need more time to discuss that with you.
Thank you. Marie, would you add something?
Yes, we don't find it that difficult to recruit, but we work very preventive, so it's not the same target group as some of the others. but we have made some organizational changes that we work with these self-governing teams, which create a lot of positive energy from the co-workers, and they have teams where they evaluate and they spare with each other. So I think the organization needs to be focused on this as well.
Thank you. Eva-Lotta?
Well, we work with professionals. I mean, so it's not difficult to find staff.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. One more question? I'm allowed. Please.
So, hello for everyone. I am from Latvia, and I was having this question actually already yesterday. So we in Latvia have experienced that we have these care homes where the children are living, but we have the problem that they are running away of this place. So it's hard to work with them, and they're just going around and finding some friends where to sleep. Some of them go back home. So how you have this experience with this?
This question is for Eva-Lotta, I think, yeah?
Yeah, that is a big problem if you start running away. I think, I mean, the whole idea of TFCO is to be a very positive reinforcement environment for the child, to have a lot of adults who really praise and see every right step that you do, and that gives a motivation to stay in the program. And also to have your biological parents being a part, and what you've talked about, to see that your parents get reports weekly about everything that you've done well is very powerful. But then these kids can put themselves in really dangerous situations. So if you keep running away and we can't motivate you, then we have to leave it back to the social worker, and you would get placed at a residential institution for a week, 10 days. We try to motivate you to go back, to follow the limits and give you a new chance. But you have to protect them. And in Sweden, we have that possibility.
Thank you, thank you. So, thank you once more for best speakers of this session. And yeah, applause. Thank you very much.